Imagine, for a moment, the morning you walk into your bank, a significant stack of Iraqi dinar banknotes in your briefcase. This is the moment you have planned for, a moment that carries the potential to fundamentally shift your financial future. Yet, as you look around the lobby, the reality of a mass currency redemption begins to set in. The lines are already forming, the tellers are engaged in what looks like complex transactions, and the sheer magnitude of the process suggests it will be anything but swift. Today, on Dinar Shift, we are diving deep in the most critical logistical question facing the entire dinar community. What is the honest truth about the readiness of major U.S. financial institutions to handle a widespread redemption event? And how will your specific notes, whether the smaller 1,000 dinar bills or the dominant 25,000 dinar notes, actually be processed? This discourse is far more intricate than a simple discussion of exchange rates. It is an examination of banking logistics, operational readiness, and the mechanical procedures that turn a stack of foreign currency into a credited account balance. A looming question hangs over every holder. Are the banks truly prepared to manage the anticipated rush? And will the physical size of your denominations play any role in the speed of your transaction? We intend to meticulously break down the mechanics today, moving beyond speculation to focus on the cold, hard facts of banking operations. Understanding this process is the key to minimizing delays and ensuring a smooth exchange when the window opens for private holders. The distinction between currency denominations, while non-existent in terms of monetary value, is profound in terms of physical handling. For illustration, consider that a certain value requires numerous 1,000 dinar bills, but only a fraction of that number in the larger 25,000 dinar notes. Bank personnel dedicated to redemption and the specialized machinery they rely on will face monumental logistical challenges when tasked with processing hundreds, or potentially thousands, of individual banknotes from each client in a high-volume, time-sensitive scenario. Every single note requires careful, individual authentication and must be meticulously verified against stringent anti-money laundering regulations and compliance checks. When this detailed verification process is compounded across the vast number of customers expected during a large-scale redemption event, it rapidly becomes evident that smaller denomination notes generate significantly more work for both the bank's human staff and its automated equipment. The large notes, on the other hand, offer an immediate logistical advantage by dramatically reducing the total quantity of bills that need to be physically manipulated, counted, and inspected. This reduction in volume naturally streamlines the overall process and creates a more efficient pathway, theoretically allowing banks to manage and process customer transactions at a quicker pace during peak operational strain. U.S. banks, particularly the major Tier 1 institutions, names we all recognize like Chase, Wells Fargo, HSBC, and Bank of America, adhere to exceptionally rigid, highly structured procedures when they are required to handle any substantial volume of foreign currency. Under normal daily circumstances, exchanging a limited quantity of common currencies, such as euros or British pounds, is a straightforward, almost routine affair. A full-scale Iraqi dinar redemption, however, constitutes an entirely different operational environment. Each and every note must undergo intensive authentication, precise electronic scanning, and thorough compliance checks before the equivalent value can be officially credited to the customer's domestic account. In this context, efficiency is not merely desirable, it is absolutely critical for the success and stability of the redemption event. High-volume currency processing places immense strain on bank staff, technological equipment, and established internal systems. It is for this precise reason of operational expediency that many financial insiders and analysts speculate that the larger denominations, specifically the 25,000 dinar note, will be operationally preferred within the bank's internal workflow, even if official public policies maintain a mandated position of neutrality regarding denomination size. The preference is logistical, driven by the need to maximize throughput under pressure. The verification process required for each banknote extends far beyond a simple manual or mechanical tally. Banks utilize sophisticated, specialized machines engineered to detect minute features and identify counterfeit bills, and critically, bank employees must maintain constant manual oversight throughout this process to catch any errors or anomalies. When a client presents an exceptionally large stack of the 1,000 dinar notes, the total accumulated time necessary for comprehensive authentication and accurate counting multiplies dramatically. Furthermore, the inherent risk of human error in handling such a massive volume of individual items increases in direct proportion to the bill count. Fewer individual bills inherently translate to reduced physical handling, a lower probability of machine wear and tear on expensive equipment, and a distinctly quicker overall processing sequence. From a purely practical standpoint for bank operations, the 25,000 dinar note represents the most ideal logistical scenario for maintaining a smooth, rapid workflow during a high-pressure, mass redemption period. The simplicity of handling fewer, higher value units allows the bank to focus its resources more effectively on the stringent compliance requirements rather than on the physical mechanics of processing sheer volume. Compliance is arguably as significant a factor as physical handling, imposing a heavy administrative load on the bank. Institutions are required to maintain strict, auditable records of every single transaction, adhering rigorously to anti-money laundering (AML) laws and mandated financial reporting standards set by the U.S. government. Every single note presented must be meticulously tracked, fully documented, and verified for unquestionable authenticity before any funds are officially released or moved into the client's accounts. Processing a massive number of smaller denominations necessarily means an exponentially greater number of data entries, tracking lines, and associated paperwork, which has the potential to create a severe administrative bottleneck during peak redemption activity. This concern over operational efficiency is highly significant and is precisely why internal discussions and community dialogues often highlight the undeniable fact that the 25,000 note could offer a substantially smoother and quicker path through the entire redemption process. The bank's internal goal is to avoid administrative friction and procedural delays, and the physics of handling currency directly influence that goal. The fewer the physical units that require individual compliance tagging and documentation, the faster the entire system can operate, ensuring a better experience for the holder and greater stability for the institution. While it remains an absolute certainty that no major U.S. bank has, or ever will, officially state a preference for one denomination over another, due to legal and fairness constraints, various anecdotal reports and internal observations strongly suggest that operational practices will inevitably lean toward maximizing efficiency. Financial institutions do not wait for an event. They routinely conduct exhaustive internal simulations to test their system's resilience and capacity under hypothetical high-volume conditions. These exercises specifically involve staff processing different denominations to identify and mitigate potential bottlenecks. The outcomes of these stress tests consistently reveal a distinct operational advantage for larger bills, demonstrating a clear reduction in necessary handling time and a corresponding decrease in the likelihood of processing errors. It must be reinforced that all legitimate notes will ultimately be redeemed, however. The tangible differences in the processing workflow may realistically mean that holders presenting extensive quantities of smaller notes could experience slightly extended wait times when banks are operating at their highest level of operational strain. This is a function of machine cycles and human labor, not value judgment. Liquidity management presents yet another critical consideration for the banking sector. Institutions involved in handling colossal volumes of foreign currency must possess ironclad assurance that all incoming funds can be flawlessly processed, accurately accounted for, and seamlessly integrated into their internal financial systems. Larger denominations fundamentally simplify this intricate process because a significantly lower number of physical pieces requires continuous tracking and documentation across the system. Furthermore, fewer machine cycles are necessary to complete the full verification process for the equivalent total value. Banks consistently prioritize operational simplicity and robust clarity in these high-stakes and high-volume situations as a fundamental strategy to minimize the risk of costly processing errors or disruptive delays. In essence, the unavoidable logistical realities associated with the bulk handling of physical currency in an intense environment create clear, practical advantages for those who hold higher value notes, though this must never be confused with a financial advantage. The face value remains constant, but the time taken to process it changes. From a regulatory standpoint, U.S. financial institutions are held to the most stringent rules of compliance. Any foreign currency presented for exchange must first receive official approval from the Central Bank of Iraq and, critically, must also be cleared by the U.S. Treasury Department for legal redemption within American financial institutions. This dual regulatory clearance serves as the guarantee that all legitimate notes, regardless of their specific size, will be honored and processed. Therefore, the core difference we discuss is strictly confined to operational efficiency and workflow management. The smaller 1,000 dinar notes, while possessing identical monetary value to their larger counterparts, introduce a host of administrative and mechanical challenges for staff and equipment when processed in vast quantities. These logistical hurdles may translate directly into the expectation of slightly prolonged processing times during the most demanding peak periods of a redemption event. Holders must accept that the administrative steps associated with tracking, scanning, and authenticating thousands of bills simply take longer than doing the same for hundreds, even if the total dollar value is the same. Reports actively circulating within the Dinar community suggest that some major banks, including institutions like Chase and HSBC, may be conducting extensive internal readiness tests specifically designed to ensure their systems can proficiently handle high volumes of both the 1,000 dinar and the 25,000 dinar notes. If these reports prove accurate, these tests reflect a concrete commitment by the banks to process all denominations effectively and legally. However, despite this commitment, the subtle differences in processing speed rooted in physical handling logistics are likely to remain an inherent factor. This level of meticulous preparation highlights the tremendous effort and high degree of planning necessitated by a mass redemption event. It underscores the immense administrative and technological complexity involved in managing thousands upon thousands of individual transactions, all occurring within a very short and intensely concentrated time frame. Banks are not approaching this lightly, and every variable, including note size, is factored into their emergency operations planning to ensure a successful outcome and maintain system integrity under duress. The widely anticipated Tier 4B stage, designated for private individual currency holders, marks the pivotal moment when many investors will finally gain the opportunity to redeem their significant holdings. During this crucial stage, banks are fully expected to operate under meticulously structured schedules and appointment systems, specifically designed to ensure the smoothest possible flow of transactions. While holders presenting large denominations may indeed benefit from faster throughput due to the operational efficiencies discussed, it is absolutely vital to remember that all legitimate notes are legally required to be accepted and processed according to the established rate. The most powerful and important takeaway for every single holder is that personal preparation, meticulous organization, comprehensive documentation, and a state of complete readiness remain the most consequential factors for ensuring a smooth, stress-free exchange experience. The individual choices made by the holder regarding their organization can profoundly influence the outcome of their time at the bank. These efforts are often more influential on transaction time than the denomination itself. Practical, actionable preparation by the holder can make a measurable difference in the efficiency of the encounter. Organizing your notes neatly by denomination, ensuring they are clean, undamaged, and securely bundled, can instantly help to streamline the critical verification process once you reach the teller. Presenting an organized holding communicates readiness and cooperation to the bank staff, which can significantly reduce the risk of frustrating delays caused by having to handle damaged or disorganized bills. This small personal effort smooths the path for both the client and the bank. Maintaining clear, verifiable records of purchase from licensed and reputable dealers is an equally critical, non-negotiable step in the intense, high-pressure atmosphere of a mass redemption scenario. Possessing flawlessly organized documentation can dramatically improve overall efficiency and minimize the potential for unnecessary stress or protracted compliance review during the process. Documentation and currency organization go hand in hand as twin pillars of a successful redemption strategy, proving that the holder has taken due diligence seriously. Documentation requirements are extensive and must be taken seriously. Banks will invariably require valid, current government identification, original receipts confirming purchase from licensed foreign currency dealers, and likely formal appointment confirmations for structured redemption events. Ensuring that all of this vital paperwork is fully organized, clearly labeled, and instantly accessible is absolutely essential for a smooth and uninterrupted transaction flow. The more thoroughly prepared the individual holder is, the significantly less likely they are to encounter delays caused by missing administrative components, extended compliance verification, or simple administrative oversight. In a profound sense, the strategic value of comprehensive personal preparation can be considered just as weighty and influential as the denomination of the currency notes themselves. It is the one variable entirely within the holder's control. International banking standards also subtly influence bank readiness planning. The policies and guidelines set forth by the Central Bank of Iraq govern the fundamental validity of the notes, while the U.S. Treasury Department enforces the compliance and authorization standards necessary for redemption within American financial institutions. Larger denominations often naturally align better with established international banking standards and best practices for high-value transactions, which could contribute to a perception of easier processing once official authorization is fully in place. Smaller denominations, while carrying the same value, inherently introduce more operational steps in the compliance and tracking process, a complexity that banks are constantly striving to minimize during periods of high-volume exchanges to maintain the integrity of their systems. This difference is rooted in how high-value transactions are typically managed globally. It is helpful to contrast the role of these denominations in their home country versus in the U.S. Within the context of everyday commerce inside Iraq, the smaller notes, such particularly the 1,000 dinar note, are absolutely indispensable for facilitating daily transactions such as small purchases, grocery shopping, or paying for various services. They are the circulatory medium of the domestic economy. Conversely, from the specific perspective of a large-scale currency redemption conducted in U.S. financial institutions, the entire operational focus shifts unequivocally to efficiency, maximum speed, and the accurate, compliant processing of high-value currency in bulk. Understanding this clear difference in operational purpose helps holders to recognize that any subtle denomination preference stems purely from the cold, hard realities of logistics, not from any inherent judgment on the note's financial value or validity. Analysts who argue that the denomination debate is overly sensationalized have a valid point. They correctly suggest that under a fully approved and legally established framework, all valid notes will be honored and redeemed without prejudice. While the undeniable operational advantages exist for the physically larger denominations in terms of speed, the banks are under a legal mandate to honor all legitimate currency presented. The true and most critical takeaway is that all holders should dedicate less focus to debating the size of their notes and prioritize, instead, the absolute necessity of ensuring they are fully prepared with clean, organized, undamaged notes and the required proper, verifiable documentation. Preparation is the single best mechanism to mitigate operational risk and guarantee a smooth, successful experience for every participant. Continuous, proactive monitoring of official announcements is paramount and remains an essential strategy. Operational guidelines and internal policies can change rapidly, often without extensive public notice, particularly as banks finalize and test their final procedures for a mass redemption. Staying immediately updated with the latest verifiable information from authorized financial institutions, the U.S. Treasury, and the Central Bank of Iraq is crucial to ensuring that holders are never caught off guard by last-minute procedural changes or the introduction of new administrative requirements. Continuous vigilance and a state of complete readiness are non-negotiable, key elements of any successful redemption strategy, irrespective of the size of the note one holds. Even with the highest possible level of institutional operational readiness in place, it remains vital for all holders to carefully manage their personal expectations. The initial days of a mass redemption event will undoubtedly be periods of extraordinary pressure, marked by long queues, unavoidable waiting periods, and bank staff operating at maximum capacity. Patience, impeccable preparation, and rigid organization are the essential personal virtues required to navigate this demanding period efficiently and with minimal frustration. While the size of your notes may offer a marginal influence on your transaction speed, the most profound factors ensuring a smooth process are still flawless documentation, meticulous note organization, and a clear awareness of established bank protocols. Internal reports and various communications from different banks suggest that there may be slight institutional variations in the approach to denomination handling. Some banks may explicitly aim for strict processing neutrality, treating all notes with absolute equivalence in their workflow. Conversely, others may acknowledge and utilize the clear operational efficiencies that are naturally achieved when processing the larger denominations in bulk. This expected variability highlights that while core bank policies will be uniformly consistent with legal requirements, minor differences in the ultimate processing speed could still exist depending on the note size and the specific bank's internal operating model. Understanding this subtle variation allows holders to set realistic expectations and, where possible, make informed decisions about their redemption strategy. Ultimately, the most fundamental and central message for all Iraqi dinar holders remains the absolute necessity of comprehensive preparation. Whether an individual holds large quantities of the 1,000 dinar notes or the much larger 25,000 dinar notes, the practical steps required to maximize transaction efficiency and ensure a positive experience are universally the same for every client. These essential steps involve meticulously organizing your notes, physically protecting them from any form of damage or wear, maintaining impeccable and complete documentation of all holdings, and staying constantly and proactively informed of all policy updates. Taking these essential preparatory measures ensures that when the time finally arrives, holders can approach the redemption process with maximum confidence, complete clarity, and the lowest possible level of stress. Success in this complex, high-stakes financial process is ultimately far less dependent on the size of the currency note and overwhelmingly more dependent on the individual's degree of personal readiness. In final conclusion, the imminent mass redemption of the Iraqi dinar presents a potentially historic and unparalleled financial opportunity, but it places a clear and immediate demand for meticulous planning on both the individual holders and the participating banks. Operational efficiency, legal and regulatory compliance, and meticulous personal preparation are the three key, intertwined factors that will collectively determine how smoothly and effectively this complex process ultimately unfolds. Larger denominations may offer a slight, tactical logistical advantage, but the solemn promise remains that all legitimate notes will be honored. By staying flawlessly organized, rigorously documenting your currency holdings, and remaining acutely vigilant to official announcements, every single holder can navigate this complex process with total confidence and absolute clarity. The decisive future of the dinar redemption is rapidly approaching, and preparation is, without question, the single most powerful tool any holder can possess.